All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to the Korean StarCraft League. We are in the grand finals for week 6. I'm Nathanias, and in the bottom right, we've got the red Zerg player. He is Doug. He just decaffeinated Cure on his way here. It's about a $400 prize pool. It does vary based on Patreon contributions as well as Matcherino funds. But the Korean StarCraft League has 40% of the prize pool goes to first place. So winning this match becomes a pretty big deal. A couple $100 for winning a cup every week is nothing to scoff at. And this man wants it just as much as the other. In the Northwest, we have the blue Protoss player. He is herO. herO's pretty cool. We partied hard. We got messed up on Jack and Cokes at DreamHack Stockholm in 2017 with Solar and Ryung and Crank. It was a good time. It was a really good time. I think we were second floor of the Globen. We were just chilling. There was a nice little lounge area. Absolutely hilarious, dude. You can tell the impact it had on me because it's the only thing I'm really capable of remembering when it comes to this guy, which is ironic because I don't remember too much else of what happened that night. It was good times, though. So herO gets the probe across the map early, but we don't have Dark put in a place where he's not able to take his natural expansion. It's already happened a few times today that we've seen that adjustment have to be made. herO so far in this tournament has defeated the likes. I'm just going to pull the bracket up and leave the camera on this probe. herO, to make it to this point in the bracket, he came through and defeated Bad Boars, Jaishi. He beat Jaishi 2-1, and then he defeated Classic 2-0. Now Dark, he went through Patches and then Firefly and then defeated Cure 2-0 to make it here. So unsurprisingly, Dark and herO both absolute monsters. A little pylon block action on that third, just being annoying. Says, hey, go park your drone on the other base. But now he says, actually not what I want to do. I'm going to come back and take this base because it's my right. It's what I want. And the Queen, just trying to keep this adept. You really, whether it's versus Protoss, whether it's versus Terran, as a Zerg, you never want your first creep tumor to get sniped. That's like literally one of the worst feelings in StarCraft. It's like instead of dropping your first mule, you accidentally scan yourself. Like there is no worse mistake that you could make without being forced to do it. herO back home, getting an Oracle out. The only PvZ that we've seen in this cup, or that we've gotten to cover really, was mostly just Classic series. We didn't really get to see anything super crazy there, but it was fun. Just a lot of gateway units against DRG. Tremendous amount of gateway units against DRG. Okay, he beats DRG and then gets crushed by herO. That whole best of 3 took place in the first half of game 1 of Dark versus Cure, because they had a 30-minute split map late game TvZ. So the Oracle's been baiting around. Shades kind of head towards the main and then get canceled. But you can see the pressure being applied to Dark by herO is still pretty strong. He's not been super comfortable with getting the drones out to that third base. He has the Spore in the main. He has the Spore in the natural. But he feels like he has to keep the Queens constrained because these Oracles are looking for drones. He's going to get 5 on the way through the Nat. 1 Oracle brought down to 22 health, so won't be able to sustain as much damage on the next push, but herO just immediately creeps up towards that third base. So herO, he wants to keep this pressure with the Oracles. He has 3 of them. Triple Oracle openings give you 2 things. Complete denial of Zergling map presence. You don't really worry about energy the same way you would with 1 or 2. And of course, it's raw DPS. If 3 Oracles get on top of a Queen that's out astray, you can really do some tremendous work. We've got multiple packs of Adepts as well. And it's nicer too because you can keep the healthier Oracles to be the ones that dive, and then the weaker Oracle can be the defensive one since it's already taken a lot of damage. Just some good decision-making thought processes that you can can just kind of see as some shade's gonna get canceled again. And herO, he doesn't commit. He doesn't commit. He just throws them in. He just keeps yeeting his units at his opponent, and it gets a little bit funky. But he's not committing, right? It's just throw the shade, step back, come in, snipe a drone, step back. And this is kind of what I was talking about. If he could just isolate a queen, getting one would be really nice. But instead, just kind of says, oh, the geyser's exposed on the main. And obviously, he has the knowledge, the information about the lair being done. However, not really much commitment has been made beyond this Hydralisk dead. So we don't have the Hydralisk upgrades coming in yet. We don't have the Hydralisks themselves coming out yet. And I think that's a product of just this situation. He's been scrambling, getting everything together. Hydra range is going to be the first choice. And when you go for Hydralisk range, it makes it easier to deal with these harass, these poking units. But without that creep spread, you're not really getting out on the map. So sometimes that can be a little bit of a tell if you're trying to go for the fast Hydralisk speed that you want to get out on the field. You want to be aggressive as quickly as you can. But with the Infestation Pit follow-up, the Overseer going out to scout, you can see that Dark... this game is just going to be... This whole series is just going to be a huge pain in the butt for him. Because he loves to be aggressive. But herO's like... It's like when you go... You're the serial killer guy, but then you actually just run into another serial killer. And that's what this matchup is. herO and Dark are both absolute straight savages. So the fact that it turns into Dark being the one that's playing defensive is just kind of adorable. Like Dark is the one that just kind of has to play passive and try to grind up and just push out this tech, because herO has been in his face, for better or worse, this entire game. The Oracles fly right into the Hydralisks though. Unfortunately, not able to get that kill. Not able to get that kill. And there he goes. He uses Revelation, sends the Adepts forward, has the Shades going home, and then just uses that to pull out. Just incredible. Just incredible. Actually, Tea Time in the chat just wants everybody to know he's astonished. This is the first time in his life he's ever seen herO play a game that goes longer than 7 minutes. So, you know, that's a special moment for him, and we can all take that moment to enjoy it with him. The Hydras are positioned at the front of the third base. Opens up the door for Prisms to try to harass. We usually don't see Adepts be very useful this late in the game, so now would be the time to just chew them out, throw them into what's going... Hang on, guys. Sorry, the game doesn't matter anymore. What is this? I don't even know what to call that. It's beautiful though. He might take a game deciding fight really soon, but I'm glad. You know, this kind of just want to stare at it. He's crab walking. So 2 disruptor shots go up the ramp directly into a lurker. And that's a nice little pickoff for herO. So again, herO has been on the other side of the map this whole game. herO has spent the entire game just in Dark's face. And in spite of that, Dark has managed to get lurkers. He's managed to get all of these things. He's even gotten up to 4 bases. But herO is on the same number of bases as him. herO is going into a fleet bacon. He's getting another Stargate. And he's transitioning into what I can only imagine is going to be a very carrier-focused army. Ling counterattack tries to hit the north base, but he's got 2 cannons. He's got a shield battery. herO can simultaneously all in you the entire game non-stop, while also turtling and macroing and playing incredibly greedy. Like, it's just disgusting. It's disgusting. Oh, I hate it. Please don't tell me where I can find more games of herO. That's the last. Actually, if you could tell me where those websites are that have herO replays so I can avoid them, I would really appreciate that, because I sure would hate to see more Protoss play like this. Absolute madman. And the disruptor hits have mostly been paying off. He's churned out quite a few shots. The fact that these Zealots don't have charge makes me a little anxious. Okay, he pulls back. He's waiting for it. We've had 3 lurkers killed in the making of this film, but only 4 stalkers and 1 what? Are these correct? Are these... You guys can see the same numbers as me, huh? I hope so. Yeah, so anyway, to quote nobody, because I don't want to get copy striked, something about work, and then you say that word over and over again. Pops an Overlord outside of that third base. These Overlords can see the Prism. It doesn't really matter. He puts it into phasing mode, even though it's out in the dead air, because you don't want it to have You just, yeah, that unit's lost tab. You just don't want to accidentally A move it. So that's why you kind of siege it. Mothership is on the way. We got double carrier production, triple carrier production. Once the supply block's over, just carriers all the way. And by mind you, he's eaten the map. He's expanded to the north. He's going even further. I'm just shocked that he's going to try to take this base that's a screen away from his opponent's base. And Dark's army is very powerful. He's got a lot of lings, hydras, lurkers. He's got the vipers to pull everything around, but herO's just forcing him to take strange battles against zealots in the northeast corner of the map over nothing. I mean, there's no base here that's even being defended. I guess herO's expanding this way, but herO being in his space has kind of been par for the course. It's going to hit one Hydra there. Great abducts onto the disruptors, but the stasis trap is going to get almost all of the lings. So these lurkers don't quite have that buffer that they might have wanted. 3 of them are going to get frozen on the south side. So many stasis traps, but is there actually the punch here to deal with the lurkers? The big daddy carriers show up. They've already got +1 attack. The only thing he needs is detection to deal with the lurkers. There's not that many hydralisks, just 5 of them with this army. So if he tries to push up into this, it's going to get tricky. Now, did split off a couple of the units to try and hit this third base while all of this was happening, but it's going to get blocked off by the mothership. Does not even have the detection necessary to attack through this. So that army's routed. I think the biggest problem for herO is that he doesn't have the observer to reveal the opposing units, and the oracles did all die in that fight. So he just built a couple of observers, but he actually did not have detection to kill any of these units. So a bit unfortunate that these are the other 2 observers that he just made, so he can try to move out there. But yeah, he's just got to pick this guy off and then get back to work. But I think that carrier count is only going to rise. Is the money there for a mass Hydra army? We have 16 right now. He's adding on 6 more. Huh. 22 Hydras versus 4 carriers. That's pretty good odds for the Zerg. An abduct or 2 could absolutely turn this around. The Prism needs to get in the game. He needs to make something happen there. He's going to try and jump on top of these lurkers, not burrowed by the third base of Dark, and actually very close to the disruptor. Range pops almost all of the lurkers there with 2 purification novas and gets the hatchery for good measure. Don't think he has detection for the final lurker, but he is going to land feedback on one of the Vipers. Mothership gets abducted, but not before dropping a time warp. Unfortunately, I mean, I want to say 400, but I think Wardy might sue me into the Shadow Realm if I do. So you guys can type it for me. Ling counterattack tries to go through, but as we've seen, so many stasis traps by herO. Just an absolute stellar display of map control with these specialist units. And I think the oracles have been dead for like 10 minutes now, so I don't even know how that stasis trap was still there. Big push coming up from Dark onto that north side base. A couple lurkers were left behind, but herO has the detection. He has the carriers. He's just going to forfeit this one. His regular recall is available. So if he wants to bring everything back over to one of these bases, he can. And yes, that's what he's going to choose to do. He's going to bring some more of the carriers. Not sure if he realizes how many Hydras are here, but I think with +2 attack, the carriers should be able to rip and tear through this army without too much trouble. The rest of the reinforcement's going to come up behind. That does get abducted, but kind of runs into the reverse flank. He was trying to reinforce himself, and he ran into the reinforcements. So we just have 3 different battles going on as we've got another counterattack. Lurkers popping tons of probes at the entrance of the robotics facility, not able to produce another unit as he has been supply blocked. I guess as the probes die, it's going to allow him to build some more observers, but those Hydras killing the detection, being a huge nuisance. Prism still doing nothing, by the way, and lurkers in your natural mineral line, not fun. Lurkers in your main, also not fun. That resource is lost tab. Guys, we talked about it. It was crazy at the beginning of the game, but it's evened out. Dark is not going down without a fight. However, how is he going to tackle this? Are you kidding me? There's 31 Hydras, 3 infestors versus 12 carriers. 12 carriers with +2. Yeah. A move of destiny. A move of destiny here. Does he see this? I'd turn around. I'd fight this. I think he could, right? Or he doesn't have the minerals to replace his interceptors, does he? No. Wow, free carrier. Fs. That's not good. That's not good. So units lost. 30 lurkers, 46 hydras, 3 carriers, 1 mama ship. Yeah, he doesn't really have the income to replace the interceptors if he's forced to do so. So it's not one of those, oh yeah, let's let the carriers be resource batteries. He actually has to come home and defend this base. His recall was still on cooldown for another 15 seconds. That's probably the trickiest part. If you move the mothership onto the map and it dies, you don't have the option to leave it at home and have the extra recall. I think one of the most powerful tools there is having that ability, but you also want the cloak for your army at the same time. So it's a bit of a damned if you do, etc. kind of deal. But once this is all cleared out of his main, I mean, the army itself is still good. We have the fart cloud from the infestors going to go over the hydras, so actually sustaining a pretty unholy amount of damage. It's 50% damage reduction under the cover of the microbial shroud, and it looks like herO may have overextended a little. Once that ability wears off, I think he can go back to killing, but so far it's 6 probes versus 60 drones. He does not have the money to build interceptors. Guys, he's building 1 interceptor. He's broke. He's broke. You can't return these. You can't buy a carrier, take all the interceptors out, and return it. Okay? That's against the law. So, yeah, I think herO's dead. This has got to be it. He just doesn't have interceptors. Yeah. Rest in Alfredo Fettuccine. GG. Bit of an anticlimactic ending, but mostly to the credit of Dark, I suppose. Doing a fantastic job of dealing with those things. I think, yeah, he had to have everything there and save that 3rd base. That lurker, the lurkers that caught all the probes going from the 3rd back to the natural, and he one shot like 27 probes. That was, yeah, the lurker split. The lurker split was just filthy, absolutely filthy. Hey, Kiko in chat, did Dark make Aspire? Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think I really looked at it. That game just didn't stop. The fun part about casting herO games is that he builds an army, he goes to the opponent's base, and then that's it. That's actually the rest of the game takes place wherever he decides to set up. At no point was herO not trying to go onto the other side of the map in that first game. If you ask me, that's one of the most interesting and fun parts of that game. But if you're Dark, or if you're a Zerg player in general, it probably gives you some PTSD. Zerg players love swarming the map, spreading the creep, taking the bases. But when you play somebody as aggressive as herO, it is incredibly difficult. It is incredibly difficult. Let's go into game 2. Let's go into game 2 as we mosey our way on forward. In the top left, we have the red Zerg player. He is Dark. And in the bottom right, we have herO. Fun thing about casting is seeing some of these maps that I typically have vetoed. As a Terran player, having this much room for something to blink in and run around my base, that's why I veto this one, but it's kind of cool getting to see a little more dragon scales. Feels like you can get to your opponent's base a little faster. It's not quite as easy to drag it out in that way, especially since so many of the expansions are towards your opponent's base. Dark is going to take that forward expansion instead of dealing with the probe harass, trying to block, get annoying, be in his way. I think it was Solar. I think it was Solar that won last week's cup. So trying to buck a trend here is herO. If he could turn things around, get a dub on the board for Protoss boys. But that's the tricky thing, because him and Dark are both have so many similar characteristics when you watch them play. If herO has something that he can throw at you, he will. If you kick herO and knock his face into the ground, you knock him into the dirt, he's gonna grab 2 fistfuls of it and throw it in your eyes and then go for your throat when he stands up. He'll probably throw it while he's on one knee. Okay, he's absolutely a brawler, and that's what makes these guys such a great matchup. I was excited about watching Cure play earlier, but like Dark versus herO is it's just good StarCraft. This match couldn't possibly be boring even if these guys tried, because they just play such fast-paced, aggressive styles. Dark starts up his Ling speed. He's going to transfer his drones down. The distance here from that main base to the third is a little trip. Getting him to spread out in this manner, he's going to need 2 or 3 creep tumors to cover the distance, right? To actually get, that's almost 4 creep tumors to get to that third base. So when you think about it like that, it can be very tricky, because if the adept gets into that third and you're dealing with chasing it, shading between the main and the third, suddenly your life is just a giant nightmare. But when you have just your main and your natural, it looks like one of the casters was not able to join this lobby or this game for whatever reason. I'm so sorry. I think it was the ducklings. Is that Crank? Oh, hopefully they're okay. Nah, just one of the casters wasn't able to join. Resonating glaives. Okay, this is what we like to see. herO has already shown us a ton of adepts, a ton of adept usage. He had a warp prism that did not really end up getting to do anything with the adepts towards the end of that first game. Well, really for like half that first game. But this is going to play into what we were just discussing. The distance between the 2 saturated bases. He wants to use the fact that there isn't a staging ground between these bases, bounce the adepts, ping pong, get aggressive, and then because this map has this huge gap, bring the prism up. It's very hard as a Zerg player to completely cover your main base with creep on this map, just because you've got so much distance that needs to be covered. And again, this hatchery is going to take away the need for 1 or 2 of those tumors, but you still want to have this pipeline connected in case you need to move your queens between your bases for those adepts, because spoiler alert, a whole lot of adepts are definitely going to be on the way. Robotics bay behind it, and I'm wondering, is he going to follow up straight into disruptors, or is this going to be like prism speed, just in absolute crazy micro? He sees that the overlord is there because he's killing it. The overlord can clearly see the adepts warping in, so no more cards up a sleeve anymore. Everything's on the table. Dark knows adepts are coming. He doesn't really have anything that can deal with them. He has the Roach Warren, but doesn't really have the setup to make a huge commitment there. He's going to go Ling Ravager instead, just a couple of them. Actually forces the cancel on that first adept shade. So herO's just going to load up 2 of the adepts and try to hit from the side, but 3 Ravagers for the opportunity to bile the prism if he tries to warp in. And then just a bunch of Lings so that the adepts can't get anywhere else. But resonating glaive adepts, 2-shot Lings. So you still got to be... Oh! Okay, that was... Oof. Dark. Dog. Oh, dog. Sorry. I'm thinking about Pig again. Okay, herO, your psychopath shades that you don't actually send in. It was kind of cute before, but now it's just like, Clear some creep. That is rough. That is absolutely brutal. He just got COD montaged on? Yeah, exactly. I would play the Call of Duty hit marker sounds, but I don't want to go to prison. So the adepts can come back and deal with the Lings. I mean, adepts, they're great against Lings, especially with resonating glaives. I think on that, we can all agree. But the adepts don't really carry that value past, I'd say, the 7-minute mark. And maybe this is a bad trend, because the last time that we saw herO play a game today, the only time we saw herO play a game today that went over 7 minutes, he lost. So if you ask me, I think herO's a great macro player, but I don't know, guy in the chat might have cursed him. No offense, man. Not trying to put this on you so that it can weigh on your conscience for the rest of your life, but if herO loses this match, We're always going to ask. We're always going to have to ask ourselves what could have been. The Adepts try to send another shade, but the Roaches, the Ravagers, the Lings, they're all there. They're ready to go. The Prism pushed back, even with those Disruptors. Tries to get a couple of gnarly shots, but 0 drones killed. He hasn't killed a single drone this game. Nate. Yes, that's my name. He resonating glaved and then went Disruptor drop with Speed Prism and has not actually killed a single drone in 7 minutes. Dark is a monster. Now herO still got his third. He's still got a lot of probes. He's got great economy. Again, he has a prism. He sees the Spire too, so he should know that the likely outcome is Mutalisks just chasing the prism down and kind of spoiling the fun, as it were. I don't think he commits to mass muta. I think this is just like get rid of the prism number of mutas. Corruptors are kind of too slow for the speed prism, so you want the mutas, but ooh, great shot actually onto the Ravagers. I mean, with everything that's happened, he's invested a lot of gas into those mutas. He doesn't actually have a very big ground army, so this might be herO's chance. The Disruptors have great coverage because the Adepts will keep the Lings off, so as long as he can mitigate the risk from the Ravagers, I think he can actually do a really good attack. The drones are coming off the line. herO, you monster. He's like, I'm gonna make a prism so that I can bait you into building mutas so that I can kill you with a push right as you're transitioning into Mutalisks. And then Dark's like, but I wasn't actually trying to go into mutas. And herO's like, I know. GG. Okay, we're tied up. All right. That's what I like to see. That is what I like to see. 99 times out of 100, that prism is safely out. Yeah. We're playing on the Korean server. There's no latency for these guys. I don't think that herO is on vacation in Bontom, so I think that he's probably got low ping. That's just a sick snipe. That's just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful snipe. Razor thin timing to hit when those mutas are popping. Yeah. As soon as even then I wasn't certain. Like I really didn't think that it was gonna work until he got that first Nova. The first Nova that hit those 2 Ravagers that were at the edge of creep. I think that was like it's go time. That had to be the moment, because he's like, oh, he's gonna macro up. He's probably getting upgrades, taking the gas, maybe going for a 4th base. And herO's like, no. I'm only building gateway units. But I invested in warp prism speed for no reason other than to bait you into building mutas so that you wouldn't have enough units on the ground. But that's like you don't have to lie to yourself or pretend or me pretend that I know everything. But I think again it really doesn't require much qualification to say that herO and Dark are just really fun players to watch. If those biles were up, you can't go up the ramp like that without losing something. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Well, and then that push happens, and I think he only had 2 or 3 Ravagers after he lost the 2, and that's when you don't have the buffer to deal with either. You don't have the buffer to deal with multiple force fields, but you need 3 Ravagers to one-shot the prism as well. So we are loading in, but herO has the wrong race, so I think we're gonna remake this one. I know you guys can see the deep fried loading screen there, but herO is actually Terran. You guys think this never happens and the casters are always lying, but it's real. It's actually real. He has the wrong one there. It happens. Okay, there we go. Even though herO didn't kill any drones, Dark was kind of under droning because of pressure. Well, I think there's like so many layers to the answer to that question, because it could be so many things. And the first one is the easy answer, which is that Dark, if you don't put that pressure on him, he always wants to attack you too. He wants to be on the map. His army composition throughout the series still remains like that Ling, Roach, Ravager. So I feel like maybe, like how much would Dark have droned up if herO was like, I'm gonna play a macro build and not really attack you and be a little more passive, I think Dark might have still stopped at 67 drones. So that's what makes it a hard question to answer. I think feeling like he needed to build that spire at all was probably the focal point of herO's entire strategy. Because if he doesn't build that, sure, the prism is annoying, but I don't know. Maybe that build is just crazy strong on that map, because I feel like we talked about it, but that huge space in the main, it's just hard to cover all that area. I think that build will always be strong in that kind of scenario. So just great job taking advantage. Great job taking advantage. And now we are all tied up. In the bottom left, we have the red Zerg player. He is Dark. And in the top right, we have the blue Protoss player, herO. And this map, yes, much greater size. And you don't have to expand necessarily towards your opponent all that much either. So people can end up kind of wrapping their way around Ancient Cistern. Cistern is a synonym for toilet, by the way. The map's name is literally Ancient Toilet. You do with that information what you will. It's very pretty though. A lot of cool like stone archaeological stuff. They're more water storage than sewage. Look, let me live out my dreams here, okay? I like how that drone was already rallied to the further base. I agree. Do you expect that most Protoss players will send the probe? Like, it's so low effort to just send the probe in exchange for making them do something that they don't really want to do, but they feel like they have to do. You just gotta take the gimmies every now and again. Sometimes there's a dub on the table and you just gotta walk over and take it. Why not send that probe if you can just make him do that? Zerg players just instinctively, they just do it. They just know it's such a complete waste of time to try and mess with that at all, that they just automatically take this base. And things still seem to work out pretty okay. I thought that with the way that last map was laid out, and it's almost similar here too. You have a massive main, right? With so much area you need to cover with creep. Maybe not as much distance from this point to this point, but it's, you know, you've still got some, you've got some distance to go. And you would think that would make the teleporting unit between the bases, you'd think that would make the adept better and stronger. And we thought that that could have had a big impact, but it got completely shut down. It got completely shut down. He made Dark build units the whole game long, and then at some point you don't realize it, but you've only got 3 mining bases and you think you're okay because you haven't lost drones, but you don't even realize herO is also on 3 mining bases. Except when you're on even economy, Protoss is going to beat Zerg, or it should anyway. The whole point of Zerg is that you're either swarming to overwhelm early, or you're kind of cranking out crazy numbers of workers and overwhelming in the long term. So Dark, a couple overlords positioned outside. This the Zerg free parking on this map does give vision of both Vespine geysers, but he sees that it's an adept opening, so he says, I want to look at the whole wall. He says, I just want vision of the whole wall. And if you're making adepts, then you're probably making, at best in your main, either a Prism or Oracle, probably not Phoenix, so means there is very little danger to him, and nobody feels comfortable with an Overlord staring over their base, okay? This adept is not having a good time. So the Oracle's gonna head over to the third. We have 2 queens. Just decides to turn around. It's gonna no scopes the creep tumor and then says, okay, I'll take some shield damage and just go home. Third Nexus begins for herO, and Dark comes over with the links, forces the cancellation. 2 adepts for herO, try to get back over towards that third. He's gonna get 2 drones, 3, and that's it. So 3 drones for 2 adepts. Third base canceled. herO's been really relying on throwing out those big swings, keeping the pressure up, harass, and then expand behind it, and just never really give Dark any time where he can do a big drone up. And whether it's a question of would Dark drone up if herO gave him the breathing room to do so, I can't answer that question. I don't even think Dark could answer that question. So it really is just a test of will, a test of willpower. Two incredibly aggressive players who are absolute brawlers. herO being much more hardcore on the aggro side of things in this series, and we're seeing Dark play a very interesting clean style where he can not take damage but also not really get ahead even though he doesn't take that damage. So now the Adepts are actually getting some work done. Now the Adepts are actually getting some kills, and that's going to start to make things, it's going to start to make things a little bit wild, a little bit crazy. It's a good couple of picks there. The Oracles from the high ground, the Adepts from the high ground. We talked about this again, but I'm just going to say it for the millionth time. Queen has a hard time walking off the edge on that side. Does get a really nice grab. Both Oracles on the escape get picked off. That is a great pickup there. 10 drones overall go down. Looks like he grabbed a few more on the way down this ramp with the Adepts. And these Stalkers will push back this Overlord, but we've got a Photon Cannon, a couple batteries going up here, and a Nidus. Oh, he doesn't know. He doesn't know, but he is reinforcing his natural. He's not committing too much. He's not committing to the third at all. What did he see? Just seeing the lair? Was seeing the lair enough? There's the Nidus worm sound, so he knows, okay, no more third base here. Stasis Trap gets triggered by just 2 lings. He saw the lair and saw no tech whatsoever, unless I just missed him seeing. Oh yeah, oh, he saw it morphing. Okay, all good. My bad, party foul. Couple lings. Again, we talked about the stasis. That's over. He gets those. It is mostly just queens and zerglings, but he doesn't have blink. He doesn't have a prism. He doesn't have recall. So these units cannot leave. They are stuck. They are absolutely stuck. Well, he gets most of the Stalkers, and the Oracle comes over to help clean that up. Hydralisk Den is on the way. We have Blink about to finish, and that should help, but that's the difference, man. When somebody asks you, it's like, should I chrono boost my upgrade? Well, if you had one more chrono on that Blink, assuming that he didn't have a chrono the full time anyway, or if you started 10 seconds earlier. What is 10 seconds in a game of StarCraft? It's 3 Stalkers that could have blinked away, or blunk away, whatever the legally accepted term for that is. Considering that he's had his third base canceled once, killed once, and now he's just gonna have to live with the fear of God in him of the Nidus just coming back at any point. At any point, if he's not paying attention for what, 10-15 seconds, boom, Nidus worm inside the main base. And then horrible things can happen to you. We also know, of course. Oh. I know he likes those lurkers. We know he likes the lurkers. So, Nidus worm with lurkers in the future, something that makes me happy. Something that makes me happy. But he does a lot of damage. I think he definitely needed to, because that worker count for Dark. Got some folks in the chat pointing it out as well, but Dark absolutely still on that low drone count. And again, it's like, okay, we did that damage. We kind of had some opportunity, but he knows that herO is going to immediately attack him. That's the hardest part. That's the hardest part about it, is herO is just going to constantly be in your face. So finding time to drone, it's just not that easy. Meanwhile, I think the only thing really working in Dark's favor is that herO's economy was delayed, but at the same time, Dark's economy was delayed. So once again, we find ourselves in a difficult spot for, I think, any Zerg player. You're on 3 bases versus 3 bases. The Protoss player has some level of tech, not a crazy amount, but you can't really leave your side of the map just yet, and that is tough. That is difficult. Doesn't have the Hydra speed yet either, so you feel like you're just kind of in this defensive stance, and herO is just going to keep throwing stuff at you, and now he's moving up to 4 bases. Even economy Protoss, you're gonna be feeling good. He's got a lot of Stalkers. The geometry of this map, yep, I was gonna say, you can just blink across the rocks, so not too difficult of a retreat path, and he can very easily limit the spread of the creep using this as a kind of a point to play around. He's gonna poke the ramp and just kind of dip away. Oracles went over to check the 4th base. He's got a couple of batteries, little shield cannon action. I just combine multiple word names of buildings now. Saves us budget on writing. And herO's going to do something we haven't seen him do yet today. He's going to get Size Storm. I do like this. I mean, Storm, great versus the Hydras. We saw with the transition into Stargate, once upon a time, it was such a meme about how bad the Cloud was. Microbial Shroud off of the Infestor, and how it just didn't really have a lot of value or use. And then it got buffed a couple of times, and all of a sudden, when you have access to that ability, that really changed the way that game rolled out. And herO, he kind of overcommitted to those fights over the Cloud. So he says this time around, no, let's get some cannons. Let's get some Size Storm. And this map is kind of goes without saying. We talked about it at the very beginning, but it's huge. It's absolutely huge. There's so many bases. There's still like 6 bases that are untouched on this map right now. So plenty of time for these guys to get into a slugfest if it comes to it, but neither of them are really passive. If you're gonna let Dark attack, he will try. I don't see this being able to do too much, especially because if he commits, there are a bunch of Templar with Storm. But maybe if there's anything, I'd like to see a little cheeky prism action. A little cheeky prism. There it is. It just finished. He just made it. Some Lings trying to get over towards the natural. Stalkers blink over to shut them down, and Dark's just like, okay, I thought we were gonna fight again a lot sooner than this, so I just have all these Lings and Hydras. I didn't morph the Banelings yet because I thought you would just push me with nothing but Stalkers again, and you didn't do that. So okay, fine. No, it's just an Immortal, just some Size Storms. Not too much else to deal with, not too much else to go up against. He's gonna catch the Zealots. That he's got so much mobility with the creep spread and this many Lings. He can easily cover some rather large distances. I like that he's going to break the rocks too. It's like, well, if he's just going to keep blinking across gaps, then I need to shut that down. Absolutely need to shut that down. Zealot's going to charge into the south base while this is happening. So herO able to get some drone kills. Attack on that 3rd base was defended. And the Zealots did try to focus down the hatchery after that, but not able to get too much. This is a lot of Stalkers to just have out on the field without much else. There's no Zealot backbone because the Zealots were the ones on the harass, but he does have a tremendous amount of Size Storms to defend himself with. There's the Revelation. You see this many Infestors on one side. That is absolutely terrifying. You do not want to get fungled on those High Templar. That would be horrible. Has he seen the Immortal count? No, the Immortals are pretty well hidden this most of the game. With the Infestors, and he's going for Neural Parasite here. Like, maybe there's some interesting moves, but herO's army is incredibly well-rounded. He's only been showing the Stalkers. Now, poking up a ramp with no vision, I would say a little questionable. He's going to get fungal growth. Yeah, I mean, kind of asked for it. He's just going to power through, which is perhaps even more insane, as he's got a Mama Ship and Carriers building back home. He's going to go through all the seven layers of tech that are possible here. Trying to bait Storms. Hydras on the high ground. Zealots on the low ground charging up. It's going to rotate counterclockwise with this army. And then retreat. So lots of Hydralisks still on the chase. So I got to ask. If he's going into Carriers, he's going to need to approach these fights a little bit differently, because he can't just fight mass Hydra. And I think Dark is going to be able to force a fight if he has the opportunity. So he's going to force a fight somewhere that herO is going to want to defend. But if the Microbial Shroud is on the Hydras, then it's all on the ground units. The High Templar. The High Templar become the sticking point for this game. So let's see how he's able to make use of that. So we have the Infestor still in that low ground. Now, don't forget, he did actually get Neural Parasite. So if those Immortals are a little overextended, or we see some funky opportunity with the Templar, I don't know, then we'll just have to see where it goes. But 4 Zealots going to get dropped, picks them right back up. Doesn't really have an opportunity to deal with those Lings inside of the main. Hydras are going to push again. Another Storm on the high ground. And it's so scary when you play these maps. There's so many ups and downs. There's a lot of blind spots to just run into if you don't have air units. We don't really see the overseers in play. They've been targeted. Same for observers. I think for herO here, at the very least, he's not going to get pushed in as the carriers are coming out. But I think Dark, he's got to be feeling a little more bold as time goes by. There's no detection. There's no detection at all, though. So the mothership coming up with the army is terrifying. Fungal reveals the only units that he can see, and that's going to help a little bit, but makes it a lot harder to try to focus fire too. He needs to get that detection over there with the army. herO will continue to advance and clean up. Big counterattack is going to come in, however. Lots of banelings with these Hydras. However, a huge warping of Zealots inside of the main base by herO is going to be able to get on top of the Evolution Chambers, getting 3-3. Meanwhile, Dark hitting in the southeast, hitting in the northwest. Carriers getting powered up by the shield battery, trying to keep it alive, and it just might be enough with the support of the Immortals. He's also got the army at the third base in the center. Now, Dark cleaned up the probes, but he's just going to try and send everything back over towards this base where there's still 2+2 carriers. One getting very low, does get popped, but the Immortal on the low ground trying to do his best to help carry the squad with him. Zealots get warped into defend, and that's going to help clean up the Hydras in the main. Dummy Thick, Brood War, Ultralisks rolling out in the main. They're going to clear out for Dark, but he has lost so much in the course of this attack, and still the anti-air is no longer there. GG herO with the 2-1. And just because I don't know 100% if it's a best of 3 or best of 5 at this stage, I am just going to quadruple check. But how about that? How about that? Beautiful. What a game. What an absolutely crazy match. Then GG. Good times. Awesome games today, everybody. Okay, it looks like, according to Liquipedia, this is a best of 5. So we've got a 2-1 lead for herO. So if herO wins this next game, then he takes it. Otherwise, Dark, he's got to win 2 games in a row to come back and bring it back. Yeah, it's my first week doing it. All the games are best of 3 until the finals. The finals is best of 5. Now we know. Dark says, ready, go, go. So herO can end it here and now. herO can end it here and now. And for Dark, he's going to need to win 2 in a row. +3 range denied, melee and armor finished. Yeah, it's just crazy. That fight happened all over the map. herO is just... he's my hero. That's all I got. Don't judge me. We're going to Royal Blood for Game 4. All right. Now everybody can be like, Nathan, you made it look like it was a best of 3 the whole entire time. It's true. It's true. Asking basic questions about the things that I'm spending my time doing has never been my strong suit. In the top right, trailing 1-2, the red Zerg, he is Dark. In the bottom left, his opponent, the blue Protoss player, he is herO.
87.
Thank you for the love in the chat, guys. Romanowski hitting 87-month resub. Literal god. And I saw Katie hooking up the gift sub earlier. Thank you very much. Lots of great folks hanging out here tonight, watching some top tier Korean StarCraft 2, USDA, Grass-fed cage free the way we like it, baby. Just some good, clean StarCraft 2. 100% protein, 100% of the time. Dark's going to take that forward third base. And it's really crazy to watch a match, a best of, where Dark, of all players, is on the back foot. But herO really is just all that in a bag of chips with how aggressively he gets out on the map. And the moment that he has blink, even without blink, he's gonna bring everything across the field outside your base and just try to kill you, and it's never gonna stop. Just never. You will not know peace from herO's contain, his poking, his prodding. He's the guy that goes for the resonating glaive adept rush into the speed disruptor drop, into the mass blink stalker. Just wild. Just wild. And typically Dark is like one of the most scary guys in all of StarCraft. Like if we had like a super villain sort of theme going for a tournament, like Dark would be like one of the big bads, you know? Like you wouldn't even be able to battle him unless you had all the badges. But he might not even be the real boss. Like he might be that side boss that you only accidentally find that's actually stronger than the real end boss. You know what I mean? Like a ruby weapon sort of thing. And yet here herO is acting like he's been grinding the game for 700 hours and bought the unlockable downloadable content so he can just one-shot him. And it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. You know? Just he's just skipping boss fights here. Just absolutely wild. Of course, Dark is putting up a hell of a fight, but it really is just nuts how difficult it is to stem the overwhelming tide that herO just brings. And he brings it. So he's going to send his adept out. He sends the shade back inside. Maybe he's just checking if there's anything over here. The Overlord was moving, if there was a spot where he might be able to get vision of it. And Dark, well, he's just going to get those 2 queens towards the third base. He's been favoring 2 spores and then just kind of 1 base defended by the queens. He's going to bring the Oracle over to get that Overlord. And this is just where it gets annoying too, because he's like, I'm going to go all the way around just to make you take as much time as possible. So now the Oracles can get out on the map. Second one is about to finish. And he's going to take that third base. So this has been very straightforward out of herO. We haven't seen him change it up too much. Dark tried to knight us some last game. I mean, he had a lair really fast. Things got kind of topsy-turvy. And it seemed like herO might have been on the back foot finally when his third base got killed for the 3rd time. But somehow he just kind of remained unfazed. So 4 drones in the main get picked. Looks like he might be able to get 1 to 2 more with the adepts in the natural, but I think they're going to escape. These guys are going for the mana. Yeah, I think he could get another drone. Should at least get that second one. 3. No, okay. So 6 total. And then another adept kind of slipped into the natural, but did not get too much else. So we've got, at the end of it all, 3 oracles. Big map presence from this. If the Zerg player isn't getting speedlings, if they're not really investing in having a big map presence, then the oracles can just put on suffocating amounts of pressure. You get a battery, you get a cannon, you don't have too much to worry about. The adepts can kind of stay home, oracles can attack. If you build too many lings, 3 oracles are going to come back, microwave them around the base. You spend all your larva on lings, but you don't actually really have too much else. So balancing out the way that you're trying to respond to what he has now and what you think he might be going into, it's just it's a tough spot to be in. And for a dude that normally just overwhelms with lots of early tech units, it has been tricky. Dark gonna have to pull the drones against these adepts in the natural. 5, 6 more workers picked off there. The oracles tried to get up towards the natural, towards the third base while this was happening. 7, 8 plus workers absolutely obliterated. And this is what we were talking about. herO is just constantly bringing it, and he's mixing it up this game again, guys. He's at 4 oracles. He's going up to 5. So 5 oracles with what seems to be charge lots. So all the gas is being pumped into Oracle Chrono Boost, and then he's transitioning into charge lots. And for herO, it looks exactly like the last couple of games. There's really nothing crazy other than seeing the gases on the third, which is also a fake out because he doesn't need extra gas because he's going for a mass charge lot attack. So there are so many different layers to the obfuscation that herO is trying to present in what is visible to his opponent, that if you're Dark, you should kind of just be expecting this Stalker based army again, maybe, or something like that. Storm transition out of a bunch of Stalkers with some Immortals. But it's just going to be Oracles and Zealots. It's Oracles and Zealots the whole way down. He took the SCVs, took the probes off the gas in the natural. He still has them going in the main. He never put the probes on the gas in the third. And this is, I mean, this is strategy, baby. Now, seeing those Zealots right there, that sets off the alarms. Boom, Baneling Nest is instantly spawning. Spine Crawlers coming down. But is there enough time? We do not have a Prism. We do not have a Robo, so there cannot be a Prism. All the units are going to be reinforcing from his third base. So it kind of just has to all happen right now. 5 Oracles. He wants the Zealots to get in the face of the Queen so that he can focus those down. But that is still a lot of potential anti-air damage. The Oracles have gotten onto them now. And with the Queens dead, with the anti-air completely gone, the Oracles can simply microwave everything. And, well, that's, yeah, I mean, that could do it. 16 roaches are on the way, but once this Spore Crawler is done, the drones are free farm. More Zealots pouring across the map. And I think what herO's going to try to do is just keep them split up a little bit so he can continue to go after the drones, or at least make sure he takes down the hatchery on the way out. If the roaches were able to clear it on their own, that would be great. But the Oracles still have so much energy. They're helping to kill the roaches, too. And this is brutal, man. This is absolutely brutal. Dark does not want to give up. He's going to continue to fight. He is hanging in there as best as he possibly can, but he has been battered and bruised. 65 drones to 72 probes, but it just has not felt like it was going that well for him for a little while. I think he might just come over here and try to snipe the Ravagers, right? herO feels like he wants to end it, but he's still going to expand. He's taking that 4th base. And we see now +1, Blink, Templar Archives. I mean, there's still not going to be an answer for the Oracles. At some point or another, if he wants to push into this and he commits to this fight, the Oracles can just, they can just kill everything. They're not affected by the Roach's armor with their Pulsar Beam, and you just target down the Ravagers. Those are squishier targets anyway, and boom, boom. I do not know what Dark does. He's going to throw a Desperation counterattack. Roaches actually do make their way into the natural. Tries to warp in Force Field to block more from getting into the main. I don't know how he just did that, but herO somehow manages to bring units back to defend this, prevent the damage from getting too bad. I mean, he is losing a lot of drones now, actually. The Roaches have made it into his third base. A tremendous counterattack in 3 different bases by Dark to try and buy himself some time. Now, without this attack, without this little, look at that, even the Ravager cocoon to stop him from getting in and out of his base. I think without this attack, I think herO might have actually just killed Dark, but Dark has made an excellent use of the units, and this is normally how we say Dark likes to play. He gets out a bunch of units and he's just going to flood across the map, stay in your face, bring as much pressure as humanly possible. But herO liking that same style. I just think the biggest issue is these Oracles are going to generate infinite value. Like, it's just disgusting, really. It really is. I'm saying like I'm 17 years old. That's what this game is doing to me. Roach is still in that third base, trying to send some more over towards the natural. Zealot gets warped in panic, but it's actually not, it's not really a wall off, but the units didn't actually try to go through, so that's okay. Archon's gonna get surrounded outside the third. Roaches are gonna come back from the north side of the third. Now they're gonna burrow, so he's bringing in burrow mechanics to the Roaches and saying, well, if you're using all of your energy for Pulsar Beam, then you don't have your energy for Revelations, and you don't have a robotics facility, so you can't really do too much about that either. So the moment he moves those units away, now the Roaches are gonna come back over towards the third. Once again, he's continuing to kill the probes, and this has to be some of the absolute sickest shit I've seen Dark do. This is why Dark's a monster. This is why he's not a guy that gets bullied. He's not a guy that gets pushed around. Dark, he is the danger. He is the one that knocks. And now the Lings once again back into the natural. Suddenly we've had a solid 2 or 3 minutes of gameplay here where herO has not been able to go onto the other side of the map. Wow, didn't think I'd say that today. Robotics facility does finally begin. But here's the kicker, and that's there's still a bunch of oracles that he can just send out for free at any time. There's not that many queens still. He wasn't really able to fix that. So the moment that the oracles could go harass, this was always going to happen. All the drones are going to die. He spent everything on those roaches. And even if he burrows them here, he can't get past the stalkers without fighting. So he's like, yeah, I killed 21 drones and then I go home. 47 workers to 61. And there's no hydras. There's no hydralisks. There's no spire. There's an infestation pit. And that's about it. There's absolutely nothing that can shut these oracles down. So yeah, just a really, really, really crazy game. This whole series was just absolutely nuts, but I would be amazed if Dark was able to claw his way out of this spot just in a ludicrous amount of stalkers with a 10 count. He's got 10 oracles. herO casually dunking on one of the... I'm not going to use the word dunking. That's, you know, this game is a little closer than that, but herO using 10 oracles in a banger of a matchup against one of the absolute best Zerg players to ever touch this game is just gnarly. Trying to counterattack at the third base, but the stalkers and the oracles are going to be too much. The drones coming off the mineral line won't be able to do it, and GG is called. herO will win the KSL Weekly number 6. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's games. I hope to continue to cover these, and thank you for anybody watching on the YouTube. herO wins his share, I think 40% of the prize pool, which is at least $400. So herO bagging close to a couple $100. I don't actually know what the contributions were on top of that. It could even be more, but big shout out to David Testa and Chicken Man SC for putting on the Korean Weekly, and see you guys next time.